Hello, my name is Matt Doble. I'm one of the assistant principals at Preston and I also oversee our GCSE Computer Science qualification. In this very short video, we're just going to be taking a quick look at the overview of the computer science course and exactly how families can assist students with their revision in the run-up to their examination in May. So the computer science qualification is undertaken through the OCR Exam Board and has the course code of J277. So if you're buying any revision resources or looking for past papers through the OCR website, that's the course code you want to look for. There was a different version of the qualification that ended in 2020, so make sure you're not undertaking past papers for that qualification. The exam is split into two parts. Unit 1, Computer Systems, and that's an hour-and-a-half exam paper worth 50% of the qualification. The second paper is usually sat around a week later, and that is Unit 2, Algorithms and Programming. That is the other 50%, and that is also an hour-and-a-half. So there are two exam papers, hour-and-a-half each, and they're each worth 50%. Both exams are pen and paper, so there are no computers involved in the computer science qualification at all. That seems quite odd and seems odd to me, but if your young person is telling you they absolutely need a computer to revise, that's certainly not the case for computer science. It's also important to note that both exam papers are non-calculator. There are some basic calculations that students need to be able to undertake, pretty much adding numbers together, multiplying numbers, and rarely dividing, but very, very basic division. Students do need to be able to undertake that without a calculator. The two exam papers follow the two units of the course. Unit 1, Computer Systems, is very much around how computers work. What are the components that make up a modern computer system, and how do they interact with one another? There are 6 key topics, and all of the resources on Google Classroom are split into the 6 topics. Systems architecture, so how does a computer work? Memory and storage, how does it store and remember data? Networks and the internet. Network security, so when we're using things like the internet, how do we stay safe? System software, and then what's called the impact of technology. The impact of technology question will nearly always be an extended essay where students are expected to write at least a side of A4 on the impact of technology on society. So what difference have things like driverless cars made and what sort of ethical impact might driverless cars have when they are more prevalent on the roads. Unit 2 is then much more focused around the design and creation of complex algorithms, so computer code, but again, in a pen and paper format. Students answer in something called OCR reference language. Now that is a programming language designed purely for the examination and something that students have been studying at depth. That is really key to the Unit 2 paper, and it's an area where students often do struggle. The Unit 2 paper is made up of 5 sections. Algorithms, so the basic design of basic algorithms. Programming fundamentals, so how do we create those more complex programs. Producing robust programs, again that's looking at things like security. Boolean logic, and then types of programming language. Types of programming language, again, is more likely to be a written answer with less or no programming involved. Both of those units are really key. Most students find they do have a preference for one or the other, and it's really important they focus their revision around both, but particularly one where they think they may be struggling more than the other. Just a couple of very quick key tips for success. Students far too often skip out questions, particularly in the Unit 2 paper. So they read an algorithm question which is hard, and because of that they just skip it entirely. The algorithm questions are normally worth around 6 marks. Students can get 3 out of 6 for a very, very basic answer. That's something we've been through a lot in class. They need to look at the algorithm and identify the inputs, and then identify the outputs. And by putting those, they're probably going to get 2 out of 6 without doing any of the tough bit in the middle. It's vital that students attempt every single question, even if they know they're not going to be able to answer the question completely, particularly in Unit 2, which students do often struggle with. Technical language is also important. Students should never be using words like stuff and thing in their exam paper. Reading news articles around the subject will help with that. BBC News has got a technology section, and again, when it comes to that essay question, students should be able to talk about things that are happening in the news. So that reading around the subject is really, really important. As every other member of staff will be telling you in their video, early revision is really vital. January is the time where students should be revising every single subject at least twice a week. They should have a revision schedule by then, and they should be working through that revision timetable. Computer science is a big qualification with lots of content. It sits alongside chemistry, physics and biology in the EBAC. It is a technical and tough subject. Students must start their revision by January at the very latest. To assist with that, I've put together and released a revision calendar. This tells students exactly what they need to revise and how they need to test themselves every week of Year 11. This is something that's set as homework each week. It's set on a Friday, and students are expected to bring their revision resources with them to their lesson the following Friday and show me what they've created. This is available for all students through Google Classroom. It's also linked to the page of the textbook which students have been given. So against every single section, it tells them exactly what pages they need to be looking at. Again, this one is really key. Students should have this printed off on their bedroom wall and be ticking off every week to show that they're confident with the content, or putting a little note to remind themselves they need to come back and look at that section again. It will come as no surprise that in computer science we use Google Classroom significantly. All of the lesson resources for every single topic are available via Google Classroom. I try to put a copy of myself teaching a lesson, either as a PowerPoint or a video lesson, but also then upload a YouTube video of somebody else teaching the same lesson. If students are therefore finding that maybe they're not understanding the way I'm explaining content, there should be another video from another teacher in another school talking through the same content but possibly in a slightly different way. Students will always have a preference of the way they're learning, and that's certainly not a problem. The Google Classroom is split into the 6 topics for Unit 1 and then the 5 topics for Unit 2, and they're really clearly labelled for students to be able to identify what on their revision calendar links to which elements on Google Classroom. Every single topic also has a folder at the bottom called Revision Materials. In there they'll find things like past questions, past papers, and then past questions that I've put together if there's not enough from the previous exams. So there's a huge amount there for students to be revising from, but also for them to be testing themselves against. I really do encourage all students to be using that, and as families, please do back that up with your young person. Ask them to log you in, ask them to talk you through exactly which parts of the course they are happy with, and exactly which bits they know they need to look at in more depth. Finally, every single student in Year 11 is provided with these 3 resources from CGP. They're provided with a blue revision guide, that is to help them revise and create those revision resources. They're provided with a white testing book, and that's what they should use at the end of their revision session to check they've understood the things they've been revising. There's about 90 pages of past questions within that white book. They've also been provided with a pack of flashcards, and that's about 60 small cards, each of which have got 6 or 7 questions on them. Again, I'd really encourage families to support at home with maybe a quick fire 6 questions over breakfast or before going to bed, and using those over an extended period of time. Students should be able to do just 1 card a day, and in 2 months they'll have studied the entire course. They should better do that 2 or 3 times still between now and their GCSEs, and that's something families can get involved with easily because the answers are on the back of the flashcard, so you can do those quickfire questions and check whether they're correct or not. Thank you very much for watching this short video. I hope that this makes families feel more informed around exactly what their young people are studying during our computer science lessons. As a final plea, there is a huge amount available via Google Classroom. Please do encourage your son or daughter to be making use of those resources and very actively basing their revision around the content that's on Google Classroom. If students do require any additional support, or if families have got any additional questions around what they can do to help, I'm always available via email at matthew.doble@prestonschool.co.uk. Please, if you have any questions, do email me and I will get back to you within sort of 24 hours or so. Thank you very much for watching.